And we're live with another episode of the Summer Sessions. Welcome back, guys. The next episode is probably going to be Friday. I got some things going on this week, so I'll be unable to do an episode tomorrow and the next day. But the U.S. is officially out of the 2026 World Cup. And if there was ever a worse way to go out in a World Cup, if there was ever a more embarrassing way to go out in the World Cup, it feels impossible, because the way that the U.S. just went out of the 2026 World Cup was one of the most embarrassing and just downright horrible ways to exit this World Cup, especially on top of FIFA's corruption finally going our way. And if you've been watching soccer or a soccer fan forever, you know that FIFA is the most corrupt organization. It could survive in Gotham. FIFA could survive in Gotham. It's so goddamn corrupt. And finally, for the first time ever in soccer's long history, FIFA's corruption goes the United States' way. And then we come out and we lose 4-1 to Belgium. And it just felt like they weren't prepared for the moment. And when you pay a head coach $6 million to come over from Europe, who's coached the biggest clubs like Tottenham, and you give him $6 million to come over and coach the U.S. men's national team, I feel like there's a base requisite of things that should just be baked into that when you get a coach at that level. One, the moment should never feel too big. And it just felt like the minute that game started, the U.S. had no idea what they were doing. We didn't know if we were pressing. We didn't know if we were dropping back. We didn't know if we were trying to control possession. We couldn't complete passes. We weren't finding the triangles. We weren't finding the pockets. And Belgium just dominated us for the first, what felt like 33 minutes. And Tim Ream was just an absolute liability. And I tweeted it this morning. If you ever feel underqualified for your dream job, just remember that Tim Ream, at the age of 38, with the speed of a rock, represented the U.S. men's national team in the biggest World Cup this country has ever been involved in. And he crapped down his shorts for 90-plus minutes while doing it. So you're never as underqualified for your dream job as you think, because Tim Ream just literally terrorized the U.S. men's national team against Belgium. He was involved in every goal, it felt like. And, you know, I think the frustrating part about being a U.S. soccer fan for the men's team is that every time we get to a point where you're playing a big dog, you're playing a big European team, you just realize that it really is our fourth and fifth tier of athletes in America that are playing the game of soccer. Because if you think a team with Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, LeBron James, like if you think a team of those guys would lose to Belgium, you're out of your mind. If you put LeBron James in that back line, you put Justin Jefferson out wide, you put Tyreek Hill in the middle, we're scoring 9-10 goals a game on teams. And it's just frustrating, too, when you have a team that's supposed to be led by Christian Pulisic, and, you know, it just feels like every time the game is big and we need a guy to lean on, he somewhat disappears. And, again, takes himself out of the game after the game, making comments like, you know, I hit my ankle, the ankle's sprained, but now I have time to rest, so the ankle's going to be fine. It's like the fact that we're even thinking about the rest for the injury is just so frustrating. And, you know, I know he's one of these guys that's very nonchalant. He doesn't want to be the leader. He doesn't wear the armband. That's why a 38-year-old MLS defender is wearing our armband when we have talent all over Europe. But it's just like, as a U.S. men's soccer fan, it is so frustrating that this is, again, in a World Cup where we finally had momentum in our home country. To just go out like that was just so disappointing. Malik Tillman tried his best. It felt like he was carrying the entire team on his back. And it just comes down to Matt Freese. What are you doing? Why in the world are you coming out that far? And I think the problem is, again, and I think I tweeted about him 8 times. I'm sure his lawyers are going to get in contact me for tweeting about him so many times in a row. But if Tim Ream isn't as slow as he is, I don't think Matt Freese feels needs to come out. Because when Tim Ream is tracking back, there is cement in his shoes. And Matt Freese is probably sitting there going, if I don't come out, I'm going to have a one-on-one in my own box, and I don't want that. So I'm going to try to come out and receive this ball. Because you have a 38-year-old MLS defender that's got concrete in his shoes trying to track back. And then if you're Matt Freese, the minute you make that commitment to getting out, you have to get that ball as far away from your net as possible. And, it's just frustrating that leading up to the game, we get Balogun back. The whole world turns against us. Everybody's angry with us. We're now, the number one target, and Belgium's going to teach the Americans. And we lose a World Cup game on mental errors, on errors that really no big European club or no big European team would make. And it's just been the American soccer experience for the past, what feels like, at least for me, 20 years. We lose with mental errors. We lose with lack of quality. We lose with horrible coaching. And to be in the biggest game in our tournament and to lose the way we did with mental errors and, Tim Ream not getting to headers and Matt Freese like stubbing his foot trying to clear a ball. It was just the most American soccer experience ever. And, again, it's like this golden generation that we've been getting told about since I was a freshman in high school. Just doesn't seem to have the mentality that we needed to have to win a game like this against Belgium. And, it makes you look back to that 2014 or that 2014 team with Tim Howard and Michael Bradley and Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey that really held Belgium scoreless until the 93rd minute. It makes you think back on that team and go, damn, how is our best generation since then, the kids that we've been being told about that have trained in Europe, that play in Europe, that play for the biggest clubs, that have played in the biggest games, how can they not perform better against those exact same Belgian players that are older now? Lukaku, De Bruyne obviously didn't play in that game, Courtois, all the guys that we lost to in those final minutes in 2014 because Tim Howard set the world record for saves in a World Cup game, gave us a better chance than our golden generation. I think that's just the most frustrating feedback loop of this American team is this mentality of these guys is just so disappointing. And, you hate to put it on one guy, but it's got to come down to Christian, dude. You've been the face of this new generation since you were 17 years old, and to not be the captain in the World Cup, to talk about rest after you pull yourself off out of the game. Oh, it's just so frustrating. And don't even get me started again on Tim Ream because I'll go back in on him. I'll take a minute and I'll go back in on Tim Ream. 38. How in a country of 300 million people is there not a center back that is better at soccer than a 38-year-old MLS playing Tim Ream with concrete in his shoes? How is there not a better center back option than a 38-year-old Tim Ream for our biggest World Cup? That's just where it drives me up a wall, because it's not even like he's a great leader. It's not even like he's, this savvy defender. That goal where Matt Freese botched it, Charles de Ketelaere barely kicked the ball at him. And because he's so lefty dominant, because he plays in the MLS and he's horrible, he's trying to contort his body to kick it with his left when he could have just cleared it with his right, and he's moving back. If that was any other team, any other center back, the way Charles de Ketelaere shot that ball after Matt Freese blew it and was out of net, that ball is cleared. There's no doubt in my mind that ball is cleared. But, we're going to bot. That's the thing about the U.S. men's national team, and we're going to bot. We're just bots, and our best athletes don't play the sport, and the World Cup is the biggest tournament ever, and then we got to show up and root for our fourth-tier athletes. And it's just, I think the worst part is it's just after the game, I think the announcers and the European soccer fans and the former European players realize how big the U.S. market is and what the United States could do for the sport of soccer and how big this World Cup is. I think we've set 5 separate viewing records for in-person and on television for watching some of these games. And the way that they just pandered to the fan, and it's that had to be the most watched U.S. men's national team game ever. The amount of eyes, the amount of momentum we had, and for us to perform like that and get done like that, you have an opportunity as a guy that played soccer my whole life. You have an opportunity to baptize new fans. that are starting to fall in love with the sport, that are starting to fall in love with the U.S. men's national team. And you have such an opportunity if you just play hard and play well. Even if you lose, you keep that game close. You have an opportunity to baptize millions of new fans into the sport of soccer that are going to start following the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, the MLS, and following our American guys if you just give them something to hold on to. If you just give them something to hold on to, that felt like such a boiling point for U.S. soccer. And for us to do what we've done for years was just the epitome of U.S. soccer and why everyone in this country calls soccer dumb and why it's the fourth most played sport and all yada, 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 yada. It's like, of course we had to come out and just crap down our leg like that. And then everyone in the announcing is like, if you're an American soccer fan, like, keep the love, keep watching the sport, it's like, dude, we just got our mouth spit in and our ass spanked by Belgium 4-1 and just blew it a huge opportunity to advance. None of those young fans. I hope the young fans weren't watching because that was one of the worst displays I've ever seen. It maybe ever. But I will say I'm one of those people that after the game I looked up how many days till college football. We have 53 days till college football, 62 till the NFL. So those are just the things we got to keep in mind. Football is on the horizon. The real football is on the horizon. And I saw a great tweet, if Belgium played real football, they're not getting past the 50. And I think that is what we put on our headstone. That's what we put on the 2026 World Cup footnotes. If any of these teams played real football, they're not getting past the 50. Because I don't think the European mind could comprehend the physicality of American football. But man, what a disappointing way for us to go out. I'm not going to talk too long for you guys, but let's just get to the picks for today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Today we've got 2 games on. Should be 2 really good matches. Egypt playing Argentina, Colombia playing Switzerland. When it comes down to Egypt, I know Mo Salah is potentially harboring or nursing a hamstring injury, so I want to be really careful with how we play Egypt in this game against Argentina. Obviously, Argentina looks like one of the best teams in the tournament. They just played a really upstart Cape Verde team who gave them a lot of problems. I don't think Egypt is going to give them the problems that Cape Verde gave them. I think Cape Verde gave every single team that they played a lot of problems. But we got some digging to do, guys. So we got some digging back to do. We lost everything yesterday. Portugal, USA, it's all gone. So we got to get some stuff back here. I was going to say maybe Argentina over 1.5, but again, these lines are just so stupid. They're so juiced. It's like absurd. I don't hate over 2.5. I could see it 1-1 and Argentina wins 2-1 against Egypt, and I don't hate both teams to score. That's how I'd play that Argentina game. Switzerland, Colombia, my favorite bet is both teams to score. That's probably the only bet that I'll have in that game. I absolutely love both teams to score in that one. For Switzerland versus Colombia, I think Briel Mbolo is going to score. I wouldn't be shocked if Luis Diaz scores. It's minus 102, so I love that bet in that one. Moving to Thursday. I might be doing an episode Friday, but we'll see. There's no World Cup games on Wednesday, so we're going to do some Thursday wagers. France playing Morocco. This is going to be one of the best games of the tournament. I think if Morocco is going up against anyone else, we're looking at Morocco advancing. They just happen to be playing the best team to ever set foot in a World Cup in this French team. I'm going to take both teams to score in this matchup as well. I know that feels bold, but I think Morocco is going to be the best competition that France plays yet, and Morocco feels very battle-tested. However, I do think France is going to win this game by a large margin. I like their team total over 1.5 right now for France. It's minus 160. It's probably going to move. That happened last time. We took a team total a couple days out. France ended up, their team total ended up going to like minus 200. So I like France's team total over 1.5 against Morocco. They're just the best team in the World Cup. They're just by far the best team in the World Cup. We've said it multiple times. They're just the Avengers of this World Cup. They're like top to bottom. Their subs could win a World Cup game. It's almost unfair. I like Dembele to score in this matchup against Morocco on that right-hand side, away from Hakimi. I don't hate Barcola to score assist at plus 115. he feels like he's just always in those sneaky pockets because there's so much attention on Olise and Dembele and Mbappe that it seems as though Barcola gets in a lot of really open pockets where he can do a lot of damage. And some MLB wagers today. Let's go back to the Cubs with Boyd on the bump. I'm not betting on Paul Skeens. He's junk. He's junk. The Yankees, I'm done with the Yankees. I'm putting the Yankees cup down. Seth Lugo and the Royals, I don't hate that +1.5 against the Mets. They're just not a good baseball team. The Red Sox have kind of been printing for me, so I do kind of want to go back to the Red Sox. I'm going to take that Padres Diamondbacks over. Zach Gallen hasn't been a great pitcher for what feels like a couple years now. So those would be the MLB wagers for this week. Do we have the WNBA system today? We do not, but tomorrow, STFU and Take the Fever. STFU and Take the Fever. Doesn't matter if Caitlin Clark's playing or not. We just have some things and morals that we have to stand on in this household. One of them is STFU and Take the Fever, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Other than that, I've heard the Summer League has been going crazy. Some UFC wagers. Guys, I'm taking Conor McGregor to beat Max Holloway. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. I'm taking Conor McGregor to beat Max Holloway, +176. I have to do it. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time. It's a complete homer pick, and I just have to do it. So I will be taking Conor McGregor +176 to beat Max Holloway. That is just an early ones and twos. I'll also be taking Paddy Pimblett. I'm taking both the European guys, and that's just what it is. Those are the ones and twos of the UFC this week. A little bit of Mikey Core. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I know how hard it can feel to do that every day and to keep doing that every day, but if we keep doing it every single day, imagine how far along we're going to be this time next year if we just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening to these. We'll see you here hopefully Friday. It's going to be a weird week. I got something going on tomorrow, and then I don't know if I'll be back down here to film the next day, but I will try to have a Friday episode, but this will be all you guys get for the week up until Friday for sure. But have a great week. Love you guys.